Welcome everyone to our first episode of What's Hot with Scott. We thank you for joining us and taking your time to see what we think is hot, what we're finding is trending at Titus Contracting. We are a design build firm specializing in both residential and commercial remodeling, and we often find the things that are trending faster than most because we get to be involved. We're so fortunate. We are driven by our passion to turn customers' dreams into reality. We love what we do, and we love sharing these hot topics with you. Today we'll be talking about master suites or owner suites and a couple of the things that we find in the owner's baths. So first off, I think one of the most popular things, and has been for a while, is in-floor heat. There's different ways of handling in-floor heat. There's a cable style, there's a mat style, there's different thermostats that can be used, but there's many things to consider when you're thinking about in-floor heat. First of all, you have to have a circuit available. Often that's difficult. Your owner suite's up on the second floor and your electrical panel's in the basement, and you need to figure out a way to get a circuit up there for that in-floor heat. So that's the first consideration. Can you actually do it? It's always possible. It's just a matter of what your budget is and how much money you're willing to spend. Now, once you've figured out if you can do it or not, what you need to consider is the square footage, the space that you're dealing with, and what the best method is going to be. Often we find the best method is the cable style, because it allows us the flexibility to put the in-floor anywhere we want. Mats obviously come in specific sizes, and there are limitations. So we figure that out. We figure out how it's going to be attached, if it's on concrete or if it's on a plywood substrate, and then how we're going to top that. And then thermostats come into play as well. You can have programmable thermostats, which is what we think is best. The programmable thermostats will allow you to set the temperature to come up when you're going to be most likely to be in the bathrooms, like in the morning or the later evening, and then keep the floor at a lower temperature during the day, just to try to be more efficient with your energy use. There are all different thermostats that can be used with your in-floor heat, and you can even use the ones that connect now with your smart device, so you can control that floor from your phone. One thing that may affect your in-floor heat is actually tied into another area that we found, and that's freestanding tubs. So if you currently have one of those large jacuzzi tubs that have their own circuit, and you find that's just not something you use, which is so often the case, you might be able to use that in-floor circuit, or that circuit for your tub for your in-floor heat, and then you go to the freestanding tub. We found that people are going with larger showers and want more open, bright spaces. They're cleaner lines, and these freestanding tubs become more of a focal point than just a tub. Removing the walls or the area around a whirlpool tub gives you more space in the bathroom and allows you to put a larger shower in. There's many things to consider when you're doing these freestanding tubs, and one of the things I've learned recently as these have become more popular is a need to educate our clients, because we do this all the time, and sometimes we are thinking about things that we would think are common knowledge or that the client may know, and they don't. So let me share a few things to consider. First of all, the tub has to have access to be able to connect the drain to the tub. Now, this may not seem like a big thing to you, but it is, because some of these tubs need that access to be maintained. So if your owner's suite is above a living room ceiling, and we have to have access for that tub, you could literally have an access panel in the ceiling of your living room, which most people don't want. So you have to come up with a way to conceal that or deal with that. One thing to consider is the tub being able to have a glued up waste system. So instead of just screwing the fittings together, we can glue the fittings together. This allows you to cover up that access after the plumbing's been completed, but we still have to access that. So you may have to do ceiling repair in the ceiling below, which is an additional expense. Another thing to consider is these freestanding tubs often have legs on them or have very minimal contact with the surface below them. And one of the issues we ran into is these are designed to be silicone or somehow adhered to the floor, but they're light tubs, they're acrylic, they're easily moved. And the little bit of silicone you can get underneath these feet or underneath these tubs doesn't really allow them to be secure. So consider that when you're thinking about your tub, that you want to be able to secure it, because when it's not full, it can be moved. So we've come along with some solutions for that and doing the best we can to make sure our customers' jobs are done right and that they're secured. But it's just something to consider when you have those little tiny feet and look at that there may be an issue with securing the tub. Another thing to consider is where you purchase this from. More and more clients are purchasing fixtures online. And I tell you, this can create a huge issue for you because there are many components to a freestanding tub that are really involved in the filling of the tub. There's mixers and temperature controls and anti-scald and all kinds of codes that are related to this, so that, one, the water's not too hot, it doesn't fluctuate when a toilet's flushed, which has been a standard for a long time. But the newer thing is that it's not too cold. People have actually stepped into cold tubs, slipped and fall, and then they hit their head or they get injured in some way. So now we need to make sure that the water going into the tub is the right temperature. So there's a mixing valve. If you order these products offline or online, you may not get all the components you need, which may stop your project. It may create issues with the plumber. It may create issues with the inspection department. So we need to be considering this as well. Some typical costs for in-floor heat, depending on if there's a circuit there or not, and the size of the bathroom. I think average in-floor heat with the additional cost from the tile setter to top this usually runs anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500. If you have no circuit and there's additional repair necessary, you can easily go over that because now you're opening up walls and ceilings. With the freestanding tubs, the sky's kind of the limit on these. You get what you pay for. I've seen them, tubs and tub fillers come in as low as $1,500 to $2,000, but I think typically you want to expect to spend somewhere between $2,000 to $4,000 for a really good tub, the tub filler, and the components that have to come with the tub filler. So that kind of covers a couple of the hot things in bathrooms. We'll be coming back to that again next week. We'll be touching on a few other things in bathrooms, and then from there we'll move on to kitchens. So I do thank you so much for taking the time to find out what's hot with Scott and what's trending with Titus Contracting, and look forward to seeing you next week. Everyone, have a great day and a great Memorial weekend. Thank you all for your service, for those who've served our country.